Time for the main event. We got Jack the Joker Hermansson versus Marvin Vettori, and the lines just recently opened up. We got minus 135 for Vettori and plus 105 for Jack Hermansson. And Hermansson's had to deal with a couple pullouts at this point in time, and it's unfortunate due to it being such a big stage, having the main event slot here, and trying to build off that Kelvin Gastelum win from back in July. Now, he was originally scheduled to fight Darren Till. That fight would have been great for him to at least, get another name under his belt. Then in steps Kevin Holland, who, in my opinion, kind of deserved the push. You know what I mean? He got robbed a bunch of times this year in terms of having a top name opponent or a top ranked opponent, and them pulling out and him having to take short notice opponents that he was able to go style on pretty quickly. And now in steps Marvin Vettori, who, in my opinion, just like Kevin Holland, deserves a bit of a push as well too. So good for him for being able to take this fight, his first headlining fight, and a stiff test here against Jack Hermansson. And I find the odds to be a little bit weird that people seem to be so heavily in favor of Marvin Vettori here. So let's start off with Jack Hermansson as to why I believe he should be the favorite. So I like his style in terms of his wrestling, heavy style, Greco-Roman background, I believe it is. Very strong and weird frame for this division too. He's 6'1" with a 77.5-inch reach. Marvin Vettori is 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. But the Joker is just so lanky and awkward, and he has this weird strength about him where he's not like the most ripped or shredded guy, kind of like Marvin Vettori is, but he has this weird like lanky strength, this lanky muscle, you know what I mean? So he's able to get these trips and get these takedowns and just be heavy from on top, landing good shots from on top or searching for submissions. And even on the feet, he's not horrible, you know what I mean? He doesn't really throw in combinations too often. Most of his shots are kind of unorthodox strikes, whether they're spinning back kicks or just a teep to the front leg or something like that. He likes to be a little bit unorthodox with his approach. I think what he's looking more often than not is for the takedown. Like, I think that he's looking for a way to continuously keep moving, keep his opponent guessing, and then when they're least expecting, kind of close that distance and go for a double leg or even a trip or even a throw of some sort. The guy's very well rounded, in my opinion. A lot of people are shitting on him as of late. I'm not 100% certain as to why. He did. So he's lost 3 times in the UFC now. The first time to Cesar Ferreira way back in November of 2016. Then Thiago Santos, where he got put out right at the end of the round. That was that was October of 2017. And then most recently, he got knocked out by Jared Cannonier in September of 2019. He did eventually come back and obviously beat Kelvin Gastelum just about 10 months after that. He was scheduled to fight Chris Weidman in May, but obviously that got pushed back due to COVID, but that would have probably been an easy one for him to get as well. The Kelvin Gastelum fight was interesting because it only lasted 1 minute and 18 seconds. We didn't see too much in terms of what Hermansson had, just as he's normally able to go out there and show. He went for I believe it was a body lock takedown, and Gastelum did a really good job of kind of reversing it with a lateral drop. He was eventually able to get the top position, but Jack did a good job of continuously scrambling from the bottom, attacking heel hooks and leg locks, and eventually did get the heel hook on Kelvin Gastelum, who just didn't seem that urgent, which was very, very weird. It seemed like he was kind of content in thinking that no way that this guy's going to catch me with a heel hook, and before you know it, Hermansson has this weird strength where he's just able to generate this torque, and that really threw off Kelvin Gastelum in that situation. So very unfortunate loss for Kelvin Gastelum there, but another confidence booster for Jack Hermansson here, especially going into this fight against Vettori, who seems to be streaking himself as well. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. The fight that he did end up losing was to Israel Adesanya before that, but since then he's beaten Cesar Ferreira, which was July of 2019, beat him by decision. Then he beats Andrew Sanchez by decision in October, roughly about 3 months later, and then he just finished Carl Roberson in June of this year. That one had a ton of heat behind it due to the constant pullouts from Carl Roberson's part, and then obviously a bunch of other unfortunate issues that Roberson had to deal with there. But we saw decent striking from Vettori, and then eventually he wanted to take the fight to the ground where he felt like he had a better chance of getting it done. Roberson got close to locking up a submission there, but Vettori did a good job of spinning out. And yeah, he showed some good dominance on the ground, eventually capturing that rear naked choke, which was a really good submission for him to capture in that spot. But this is a weird one against Jack Hermansson. Let me just take a quick sip of water because my throat is fucking with me real bad right now. All right, that was weird. Either way, okay. So the way these guys match up, I feel like the striking style of Hermansson, even though he doesn't really throw in combinations, which is kind of Vittori's, his strength or his advantage that he has here. I think he's going to have the advantage on the feet, landing the more output and just throwing a little bit more variety of combinations. Whereas Jack Hermansson is going to try to be a little bit more unorthodox with his approach. But I truly think that his way to get his hand raised in this fight is going to be by taking this fight to the ground. I think we have seen Vettori taken down before. He's done a good job of getting back to his feet, but I feel like Hermansson has a really good top pressure and top game that he should be able to keep Vettori down for extended periods of time and do some solid work from on top. This is the first time Vettori is going to be scheduled to fight for 5 rounds, and I feel like that's an advantage for Jack Hermansson, who, if you guys remember, he took that fight against Jacare Souza on relatively short notice. Souza was supposed to fight Yoel Romero that night. In steps Jack Hermansson again on relatively short notice. He did beat David Branch just about a month before that, just under a month before that, and he steps in to fight Jacare Souza in a 5-round fight and beats him in a 5-round fight too, very decisively as well. Continuously taking Souza down, staying out of submissions, but landing good work from on top, and that's the kind of approach I think he'll take here against Vettori. Now, I think he'll be more successful the later this fight goes. So obviously it's going to be a little bit more difficult to, one, get Vettori down early, and two, keep him down, as I feel like Vettori does a good job of getting back to his feet. But again, this is the first time he's dealing with somebody that has the type of top pressure, ground and pound that Jack Hermansson does, and that should bring a very interesting factor or caveat to this fight. I mean, I just like Jack here. I'm not sure what it is. Now, I'm not confident to the extent of actually wanting to go out there and bet him. But if the line did continue to widen and we possibly got Jack Hermansson around plus 150 or so, that would make me a little bit more interested here. I'm not 100% certain on or sold on the fact that Hermansson would get the finish here either. So maybe if you want to take the poke on Hermansson to win by decision, which is plus 525. Ooh, that is a little absurd in my opinion. That might be worth a little bit of a poke, as I believe that's his way to win this. Or him to win inside the distance is plus 160, but Vettori is durable for sure. That's something that we've seen in pretty much all of his fights. Even Adesanya just picking him apart from the outside wasn't able to get him out of there. Antonio Carlos Jr. not able to get him out of there either. And then his only other loss was against a guy named Bill Beaumont, who wasn't able to get him out of there either. So, I think it's going to come down to the takedowns for Hermansson. Possible sub game as well too from Hermansson. But it depends on how long the takedown defense of Vettori truly holds up, and if he's able to get Hermansson out of there with punches. Now, I'm not sold that we'll see Vettori actually get a KO here. He hasn't really knocked out anybody since his second last fight before coming to the UFC, which was against Jack Mason. Finished him with a knee, but not a notorious finisher as Vettori. So I'm intrigued to see how he deals with 25 minutes, especially taking this fight on short notice. That's an issue here. Now, Hermansson obviously took that fight against Jacare on short notice and then was able to go all 25 minutes. Is Vettori going to be able to do the same? I don't know. He should be able to, but I think that Hermansson's going to have the edge there. So I'm going with Hermansson here to win by decision. I think he'll be successful in getting this fight to the ground. Doing good work from on top. I just don't think that Vettori's really faced anybody that can give him that type of trouble with that type of ground and pound and that type of strength that Jack Hermansson has. And I think a lot of people are overlooking Hermansson in this situation due to the seemingly meteoric rise and love of Vettori since his fight with Andrew Sanchez. Everybody seems to be all over this guy. And obviously he goes out there and beats the two guys that he's supposed to. But I got to say, this is his toughest opponent to date since the Israel Adesanya fight. So I think people need to pump their brakes a bit on Vettori. So once again, I'll go with Jack Hermansson to win this fight with ground and pound, with his wrestling. But I ultimately think that he takes home a decision victory. So yeah, I'll go with Jack Hermansson via decision.